guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Johanna. For those of you who are new here, welcome. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. A great big shout out to my channel members for supporting my channel. Thank you. Alright, so in this video, I'm going to be going over my coloring book journal and how it's evolved over time. I did want to show you this one really quickly. This will actually have its own video because this is my supplemental reading journal. I actually have just a very bare bones reading journal that mostly is just a log of the books that I've read, but I've got some other things in there. But I did want to have and start a new one that had some more scrapbooky aesthetic type of spreads in it. But the reason I'm showing you this is because originally I was going to do the reading journal as you regularly open the journal. And then in the back, I was going to have a coloring book journal. And I worked on this spread, not 100% in love with it, but when I was finishing up some things for 2024, I actually realized I like having it all in one place. I didn't do actually anything else, so I'm probably going to just cut this out and perhaps use this for 2026. But I did want to show you that I had ideas for something in someplace else, and then I decided to keep it in the same book that I've been using for the last we're actually going into 5 years now. So I'm going to put this to the side. Now this is going to be quite a chatty video, so get comfortable, maybe put me in the background. But this is an A5 Maisie Lane Co. dot grid journal that I got personalized. Maisie Lane Co. I think are just doing stickers and washi. They no longer do journals, which is sad because I did like their products. But I did get this, I think 2020, definitely before 2021, because the original iteration of this was a long time reference journal. So this would have been the first year of the pandemic, and at that time I wasn't doing a lot of reading or coloring or watching movies or television. In fact, I had just rediscovered my love for coloring in 2021. And so the whole point of a long-term reference journal is to have one place to hold a variety of different collections. And what I started it, or why I started it, is because up until this point, I had been doing buddy reads with my friend Andie, but I never kept track of anything prior to 2021. It was always embedded in my daily or monthly journaling in my everyday carries. That doesn't help me though if I want to kind of get an idea of what it is that I'm doing, unless I want to flip through every single journal that I've ever done. So again, I wasn't doing a ton at the time, and I started my coloring book discovery or rediscovery as an adult. And so it's really cute to me that this was my collection of coloring books. I didn't think I needed much more space than that. I did have a wish list, but I wasn't gonna go cuckoo crazy. Little did I know. And then my inventory got bigger. I re-inventoried in later in 2021. And it was just, every page could be something else that I was doing, and I just wanted to keep a track of. I had just started doing buddy coloring. My very first buddy color was with Emma of Emma Colors 2020, and then Poet, and then it just kind of went gangbusters from there. Again, doing another tracker of my inventory. And again, it makes me smile because, oh, simple, naive Johanna, that you could actually fit everything on 2 pages. Aw, simple, simple girl. And so I've marked in here various things that are coloring book related, because eventually it just is my coloring book journal. But through 2021, I was still trying to figure out how to make this work to track the various things that I wanted to track. Like, for instance, buddy colors with various people in the coloring book community. Poet and I, we go gangbusters with doing buddy colors. lots of different buddy colors that I've had. I was tracking the Find and Color that's hosted by Olga, Rani, the Coloropoly that was hosted by Sara. And again, tracking buddy colors. Eventually, this went to my everyday carry because this resides at home. My everyday carry is always with me. And if I was coloring during lunch break or before work, before my shift started, this doesn't really help me on figuring out what I still need to do for that month or whatever. Again, tracking buddy colors. This was my untouched books as of May 2020. And I had to actually look through this and figure this out because I've got 2022 coloring book focus here. And then I think I realized by midway through, more so because of my reading, that this wasn't going to work. This long-term reference journal where I had just a mishmash of things I wanted to do over a period of years, being so hodgepodge, this here, this here, this here, this here, I didn't like it. So I actually redid it and had a dedicated section for 2022. And this was only going to be my coloring book journal. From here on out, there is nothing else in here but coloring book stats. So for 2022, again, I brought that information I just showed you into here. I don't have goals with my coloring book hobby. I am a mood hobbyist. I don't consider myself a colorist. I definitely consider myself a hobbyist. And one of my hobbies is coloring. One of my hobbies is reading. One of my hobbies is journaling. And my moods just kind of take me where the wind blows. And I wanted to remind myself that I color to unwind, to feel creative, to feel productive, and to help manage my anxiety and anxiousness. It's a fun way for me to bring creativity to my life. I'm not in a competition with anyone, including myself. Have fun. It's about the process and not the outcome. And that's actually something that I've adhered to throughout the years, that while I'd like the outcome and the final finished page to be pretty or cute or whatever, it doesn't have to be. And so if my journey goes wonky or if things happen or mistakes are made, whatever, it's a learning process. Hopefully I had fun while I was doing it, and it's a completed page at the end of the day. I'm not trying to create artwork. I'm not trying to sell my work. I'm not trying to level up a skill. I do what I want when I want, and that's how this hobby helps me. Again, was tracking buddy colors in here. But after a while, it just proved problematic to keep something in here. So I just quickly stepped away from that. Untouched coloring books. And again, 2022, I didn't have that many. And I had set up some pages for some things. For the longest time, I was tracking Olga Rani's Find and Color in this section here. I was just, when she would finish one challenge and she'd go to the next one, then I would just continue. I have since moved that over to the 2025 because it gets a little cumbersome to keep having to come back here. And Sara was still doing Coloropoly, and this is an intro to 2023. So again, I focus on certain things. If it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, oh well, life happens. And I wanted to track the numbers of buddy colors, both group buddy colors, like specific groups that are doing specific books, and then just individual buddy colors. And individual is a little bit of a misnomer because, for instance, Poet, Ellie, Deb, and I, we have a small group buddy color or a small group that we do buddy colors in, but I don't consider it a group buddy color because we're just going between various books that we all have in common, versus the group buddy colors, it is very specific books and very specific pages. It makes sense in my head. And so I was tracking those numbers there. And then I had seen a completed coloring book journal by Disney Meg, Spicy Cat, and Patti, where they had actually tracked the number of completed coloring pages. Now, again, I don't have goals. I don't care how many books I work in. not really care about the number of pages. It's not like I have a goal for the year, but I did like the idea of knowing that over the course of the year, considering how large my collection is, I worked in X amount of pages for the year. I don't know, that helped me feel a little bit productive, and that I'm not just collecting books, that I'm actually actively using my coloring books. And so for 2023, at the end of it, I had completed 150 pages. That's not a bad number right there. Again, I don't have a goal. So whether I finish 50 pages or 350 pages, it's just, I'm hoping that this really helped me with my anxiousness and anxiety. And I can tell you the numbers in the beginning of the year were indicative of, at the time, we were still somewhat better staffed than we became. And so I had definitely more time than I had towards the end of the year and going into 2024. So this is also an indication of where I was from a work perspective, because my work perspective really drives a lot of physical and mental health issues that I have, because most of my focus is on work. And I had done this Distress ink stenciling in the background just to give it some deco without taking a lot of space. Again, untouched coloring books as of 2023. I never got back to doing my favorite pictures for 2023, and honestly, I'm not going to. My coloring book inventory, I did try to make a very good concerted effort to get an inventory of actually all the books that I have, and that quickly stopped because I was updating my inventory by doing videos, and after a while, if I run out of time to film or gather all of the coloring books, mark out all the completed pages, then it just wasn't going to get done. And honestly, I will be doing periodic videos of some of my coloring book collection, but it is not for inventory purposes. It's just to share some of the books that I really enjoy and some of the pages that I've completed in said books. Again, set up some pages. They are going to be just left blank. And I know for some people, this just seems like a waste of time and space and a waste of product. For me, there was intention, and it's still pretty to look at, but I've already gotten the value out of this journal. So if I never did anything with it, I'm cool with that. If I decide to leave this blank, which I have, I'm cool with that. I'm not going to let my products dictate how I feel about me or the usage of them. This was my 2024 section for my coloring book journal. Again, we're going into the fourth year. So 2021, 22, 23, 24. Yeah, 2025 will be the fifth year that I've been in here. And you can see where I fell off. And I decided at the end of the year, because I actually did finish 2024 in here, that I wasn't going to update this because it didn't matter. I put in this little, it's not a Dutch door because it's done after the fact. It's a tip-in because I did tape it down, of hashtags that I wanted to track. But again, that fell by the wayside. As you can see, there were months that I did nothing or very little in 2024. 2024 was a very rough year for me by way of a work perspective. I was working my regular 40 hours a week, and then every month on top of my regular schedule, I was also working 40 hours extra of overtime. So most of my, or all of my lunch breaks and most of my weekends or holidays were devoted to working. And when I was done with that, this desk space was something I did not want to sit at and color at, and I don't color anywhere else other than my office. And so it really reflected in how much I colored for the year. I am no longer working overtime, so I do get my lunch breaks back and my weekends. And so I'm hoping to just ease myself back into my coloring hobby, my journaling hobby, and then reading has become my number one hobby over the last few years, just because it's the best form of escapism that doesn't require my hands, isn't taxing on my body, but actually I need to devote my brain to. So my brain doesn't get to wander or worry about work or this, that, or the other. Coloring book collection, untouched books. of the things that I'm going forward with, this is the one, like I said, that I'm going to continue because I do have a number of untouched books and I would like to focus on them for this year. And then how I started the year was I was tracking all of the completed pages that I did, but more so I was also tracking some thoughts about them, the products, if they counted towards any hashtags, although my Instagram game is pretty minimal at best. And that worked for a while. And I like seeing it. I like that I use the same pen. If you follow me in my everyday carry journal, you know sometimes having different pen ink on the page really bothers me. I don't know why it does, but it does. And so going through the months, it really worked. But then came July and I only finished the one page. And between July and November, I didn't really do anything. I think I had finished, a page in October, didn't come back to my journal. Really, it was just finishing something up. I really wasn't in the headspace quite yet. And so while I like this, I'm actually not someone who refers back to this. Like when Candace from Happy Catastrophe or Doodle from Doodle Robot look over their final pages and they do their completed pages video, they're actually referencing their journal to show you the mediums or talk about the mediums that they've used. I don't reference this. So it was nice to have and to think about at the time, but it's not actually useful or purposeful. So for 2025, if I feel like that, I might just do some bulk journaling like I did here for December versus journaling about every single page, because more often than not on the actual page that I have completed, I have the date that I finished it and I have the mediums that I used for that page. So having it in two places, especially if I'm not going to reference it, seems pretty redundant and a bit of a waste of time. So I kind of like the look of this. I didn't realize that as I was stamping, my stamp was warping a little. So that's why it looks a little bent like that. This was a lawn fawn stamp and I kind of liked the look of that, but I also kind of like the look of my own writing, so I might just continue to do that. So like I said, before I had set up 2025 in here, I actually had set up in that supplemental reading journal, but there is still quite a few pages in here. So I decided to just continue in here for 2025 with my coloring book journal. And what kind of inspired the deco are these two bookmark books here. So I got both of these from Amazon France, and they're the perfect height for this. They are kind of cardstocky, so they do end up having some weight, but I loved having this in here. Now I know these two cartoons are not the same. This is Maleficent with Sleeping Beauty, and this is Snow White. And I apologize for all of the booms and the banging. Apparently the neighbor feels fireworks are appropriate today. But I didn't care. I liked the artwork, and whether I actually color this or not, actually it would not bother me if I didn't. So if this just ends up being black and white year over year, I'm actually really happy to look at that. Or if I decided to add color to the page, these are actually the colors that I looked up that are part of their outfits. So either way, it works. I do have another coloring book focus. Again, if it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, no big deal. Again, a hobby. This is not my job. This, I did do a Dutch door so that I can look at the artwork on either side. This is out of Diane Dufour's Elves and Lutens. And this one makes me laugh because of the goat guy from Narnia. If you know, you know. I do have hashtags that I'd like to focus on. Again, whether I post to Instagram or not, that's neither here nor there. I am redoing the Tackle Your Treasures 2025. Go ahead and check out my Instagram for the information on that. And I am starting a new one, JoJo's for Johanna, and that's any Joanna Basford page out of any book, postcards, or whatever. And that's just year over year. There's no end date for that. Doodle Robot has the fairy tales and folklore friends. not bi-monthly, every other month page that we do. Color Mythographic by Elm Colors, and Opal Green Ivy for Poet, and that's for PoetSpice. And so there's just some things I want to focus on for the year. I have selected my 25 in 2025. I do need to do a video on this, but these are the books that I'd like to focus on for this year. I do want to keep track of the number of completed pages that I have over the year. I did not figure in the spacing when I did this, and this is a lawn fawn stamp. So at the end of the year, I don't really have a place to put my completed pages, but I do have transparent post-it notes. That's going to go right on top with the completed total number of pages, and yet I'd still be able to see underneath. I got this idea from Poet. I think she actually had gotten her bingo card from somewhere else. I think she mentioned that in her video, but it's not truly a bingo because it's not 5 and 5. It's just various things that I'd like to complete over the year. Some of them are actually double or tripled, like Buddy Color goes all the way that way. And then Working in an Untouched Book, Alcohol Marker Page, Outside My Comfort Zone. I have some color pages by way of black and white or blue. 3-month no spend for coloring books. I don't know if I've broken that already. Mostly water medium, random number generator. So I got various things that I want to get a blackout on this whole thing. If it happens, amazing. If it doesn't happen, oh well, it was something fun to think about and put together. I do have another Dutch door, so this one I'm hoping is enough space for my untouched books, but if it isn't, then I can just do a tip in right in the middle. Coloring books and other stuff that I've bought in 2025. This is where I'm going to keep track of everything that I'm purchasing. And it can be also journaling things, because some of the journaling things that I purchase also are used in my coloring books by way of water-based markers and stickers and washi. And so that will go here as well. And it's just really to keep track of that stuff and just to see it. And this is where I'm keeping track of Olga Rani's weekly prompts as well as her monthly-ish prompts. This actually should be enough to get through the end of the year. And this one should be enough to get through the end of the year. And then when I set up 2026, then I can start fresh with whatever the number is for the prompt, because I'm thinking we'll be in the 80s at that time. And then whatever the number is for the prompt for her monthly-ish ones. And I say monthly-ish because with her weekly prompts, it's every 2 weeks, although sometimes it's 3 if there's holidays or she's on vacation. And then for her monthly-ish prompts, it's usually a month and a half. So for instance, it is currently January 26th. Her weekly prompt is book, and that's due by February 1st. And then her monthly prompt is gorilla or ape, and those completed pages are due to her by the end of February. And then from here, I am going to open it up to the monthly sections. And so like I said, I'm probably going to do something like this, where I just keep track of the number of pages that I've done. I'll probably just do some quick lettering. And this is just with, I think this was a Tombow pen here. And then if I want to, I'll have some space for journaling, but I'm not going to put myself in too much of a rut or a quandary to say, well, it has to be like this or this or this. It's just to keep track of the information, just because otherwise I'd have to check out the videos that I do, because I don't keep track anywhere else. All right, guys, well, that is a flip through of my coloring book journal. It has evolved over the years. And again, I don't see things that I had anticipated working, not working, that I had anticipated that I was going to follow up on and never did. I don't see those as failures. I don't see anything that revolves around my hobby as a failure, because again, this is my job. This isn't critical that it gets done or that it gets done well. It's just something to help me feel creative and productive. So yay if I have all bunch of check marks, and okay if I don't. It's not like anyone's gonna find me or, put me in coloring book failure jail. It doesn't happen. But I love seeing this, and I'm glad I stuck to this one just because I like seeing the progression year over year. All right, guys, well, that's it for me for now. And as always, aloha.